Welcome to the Digital Marketing Show. I am here with Simanya Bekwa, your host today, and I'm Marie Le Roux, the Media Strategist to Visionaries, also known as the Media Strategy Mafia Boss, because I help experts, entrepreneurs, and enthusiasts share their visionary message with the world through the media, online, and off. And today, Simanya and I are going head to head in a battle on a debate that must be driving you crazy if you're interested in digital marketing. Today, we find out the truth, the good, the bad, and the ugly about paid marketing versus organic marketing. What is best for you? Simanya, I'm so glad we can finally have this chat.
Same here. I'm glad that we can actually finally have because it's something that has been on the books for a very long time. So I'm just glad that we can actually have it. I'm really happy about that. You know.
And it's a topic that's so important to anybody who's interested in digital marketing, but especially entrepreneurs starting out. Is it digital marketing, like a paid marketing they should focus on? Is it organic marketing? Where should they put their time, their energy, and their money?
And I think that that is the first of all. Before I can get to that, I have to say something, which is you are hijacking me right now. You you are hijacking me right now. You know. Uh, but yeah, on that front, I think it just differs. As the listeners or the audience will get to understand on today's podcast, which is we have organic and we have paid, right? And on my side, I stand with paid media or with paid advertising because that is where I specialize. I've tried the organic side, and let's just say I haven't been that lucky on that front. And so on my side, I've tried paid media, and I know for a fact that it works, right? If you know what you are doing, that is, and that is the most important thing, you know. Now, my question that I actually have is on your side, which one would you say that is the best one to for someone to actually use for their personal brand, basically, you know?
Well, there's no short answer. So I'd love to say, well, here's the solution, ta-da! But I think it's worth staying tuned to really see in this discussion because the key is this. It's really about what do you need at a given point in time, rather than what is best, but rather what is best for your needs at a certain point in time. And throughout this show, in our conversation, we're going to be unpacking when is the time for organic and when is the time for paid marketing. Of course, from my side, just like you specialize in paid advertising and you help people get great results for that, I specialize in organic marketing, especially for personal brands, although a lot of the principles also apply to business brands and organization brands. But because that's what I specialize in and I see the results over time, I advocate that. However, once again, it's back to what are your needs? So if you're listening at the moment, consider this. What are you looking for in your marketing and what results do you want right now? And that will help you to get the most out of this conversation. Don't you think so, Simanye?
That is really true. Because if you are someone that is trying to go viral, and you're trying to go viral as soon as possible, or if you're someone that is trying to not go viral, or you're trying to go viral, but in the long run, right? I think that's where your mind needs to be, which is what are you actually trying to achieve here, right? If on your side, I think you're trying to achieve the fast way, right? Then of course there is a solution to the fast way that you're trying to head to. And of course, if you want to take the long run, or that if you want to basically try to learn while you're still creating the content, posting and doing all of that, and also even if you do not have the budget, you then of course but of course it goes back to that thing of what are you trying to achieve, you know? And just another thing, and I hope I'm not cutting you there. Okay, so
Bring it
a-
on.
as we have mentioned that we're going to be discussing organic and paid, you know. I think for for the people that are listening right now, right, Marie, there's some people that have heard of organic, and then there are people that have heard of paid, but they do not exactly know what that actually means. I think we cannot go forward without just feeling them, and giving them we call it the introduction, right? So
Mhm.
the
Or
introduction or
definition.
the definition or
Yeah.
introduction, you know. So I think that is the most important thing. So Marie, uh, on your side, since you are going to be handling the organic side, could you please could you please describe or define what organic marketing means, you know, in the context of either the personal brand or even the business side?
Beautiful. Well, one of the reasons why I like the word organic is I love nature. I love things that grow. And organic really refers to alive and growing, which doesn't mean that paid marketing is dead. It just
Sure.
means that your organic marketing is all the areas where you are growing a living presence, especially for a personal brand. This is about establishing thought leadership in the long term. So it's something that is building all the time. And in particular, this would be things like if you look at online media, but since this is the digital marketing show, this is especially things like your social media marketing or your social media messaging. But it's not necessarily always the posts. Very often it's everything that is out there. So let's look at a web presence. And web presence is really something that is very important for your search engine optimization. We know that it's people who buy from us, but how are the people finding us online? Well, they're finding us because there's a bot or there's an algorithm somewhere in the background that is sending them to us. So if you are building your personal brand, whether it's as an entrepreneur or a thought leader in another way, you want people to be able to find you. The search engines will bring you there through things like your social media pages and your activity there, but you need a strong page that's well optimized. And then that would be everything from the good old Facebook to Twitter, today known as X, and then, of course, other platforms. Nowadays, WhatsApp and Snapchat are also becoming more active as almost social media and messaging platforms. And then, of course, LinkedIn. So for me, LinkedIn is a big one because it has high credibility and it has a very special pull within the professional sphere. And then YouTube and even your blog and your website are all part of this organic marketing strategy. But especially since the great lockdown of 2020, the post-pandemic world has become very attached to real life physical contact with people. So although our online presence is really powerful, being able to have a strong physical presence, which could mean locally through something like the Google Maps business feature, where you can have your presence linked to your Google Ads, or if it's being in traditional media on TV, on radio, in print publications, which of course also have their online presence. So you're still building your digital footprint. And then one of my personal favorites, or two of my personal favorites, is speak on stage, be presenting, be visible, be at events. And another one is publish a book. You've had Kyle Yankees as a guest on your shows before, and he speaks
Yeah.
about your book as a business card. It really is true. So all of these things, which may be online or offline, but with a digital footprint, are all part of your organic marketing plan. And it's a slow burn over time. It's not a bam, quick thing because you don't pay for it with money necessarily. It might cost you energy, it might cost you other investments, but it is there, it is growing all the time, even when you're not watching. So it's a slow, organic growth.
And I have to say thank you for trying to make sure that you actually delve into it, you know, uh, because now I'm sure for someone that didn't have much knowledge in terms of it, now they do know what it is, you know, and just to add to that, and I think another thing which is important on that front, you've mentioned the that social media is your playground on the organic media, right? Not only social media, but also networking, um, and speaking basically, right? Those are the ways that you need to utilize. And I have to agree with you on that because you also mentioned that I had Kyle on one of my interviews, and from having him, he actually started to open up my mind too, you know, in regards to books. So, and I think
Mhm.
so on that front, I have to say that that is true, you know. And another thing which I think we need to also dive into, which is it's paid media basically, right?
Yes.
Which
Yes.
is that's where I am, and that's one of my favorite uh ways to get content out there, you know, and basically just a brief um overview on that. I think paid media, it's there's no way of saying, or let me just say, it's not a million words or 100 paragraph, you know, but it's just simple. As I normally say, you pay to play, right? You know, you pay to play. If you are trying to get your content out there, and you and by content simply I simply mean your videos, your blogs, your podcasts, you know, you name them, your that's your content, your written, your audio and your video content. Now, if you're trying to get those 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 content those content types, or should I say, yeah, your content types out there, uh the best way, or let me not let me not say the best way, but paid media is when you pay to play. If you want to get them out there, let's say on Facebook, you run Facebook ads. If you want to get them out there on TikTok, you run TikTok ads. There's billboard ads, which is the traditional, and I think you did mention that the traditional media. Uh, so it may be billboards, it may be TV, it may be radio, but all in all, paid media is when you pay to play, right? And that's just about it on my side regarding that. And basically, as I've mentioned, it's through social ads, and it may be through sponsored content, and even through Google ads, YouTube ads, so on and so forth. But paid media is when you pay to play, and that's just it, you know. That's just it.
Fantastic. So very often people would simply call that advertising. Would you say
Yeah.
that's how are the differences?
So with advertising, of course, even with the organic, right? You advertising,
Hmm.
right? And also, with the paid media, or with the paid media, you are also advertising. So I think it's just a matter of saying, if it's organic, you could probably say it's organic advertising. And then
Mm.
if and I don't hear most people saying that actually. So,
Mm.
you know, and if it's paid, then you can say paid advertising. But either way, when you are creating content, whether it be your content showing yourself out there, you posting content of yourself in Dubai, you posting content of yourself in Cape Town, you posting content of your, let's say, your real estate portfolio or anything like that, you are advertising. But it's just a matter
Mm.
of, are you advertising through the organic side or are you advertising through paid, right?
There you go. And there's a beautiful name that people gave this long before the internet. So I remember stumbling on a book, and we're talking like decades ago, pre-internet arriving in South Africa. And I was at a library and just like paging through things. I was on holiday, too much time on my hands. I was a fresh graduate, and I saw this book, and the title blew my mind, and it stayed with me to this day. And when the internet emerged, I thought, that is such a brilliant way to do it. Because thinking back, social media, what we would call today marketing, what was then just messaging, was actually a form of this. And what they called it was guerrilla marketing. In other
Okay.
words, hiding, like marketing yourself, but without having to pay for it. And it was all these innovative, novel ways that you could just be creative, be yourself, be visible, and attract clients in that way. And I actually think it's really important never to underestimate that if you're really in the business where you want to be in, you are such a flagship as the visionary behind your business that people remember you for that. Think of somebody like Steve Jobs or Richard Branson or Oprah Winfrey. They're such icons that their presence, their name elevates their brand. And now, as we were preparing for this podcast interview, you were saying, well, should we look at personal branding or business branding? And I said, well, it applies to both. But actually, really honing in on your personal brand can be one of the most powerful things you do for your business brand. And just being you is some of the most powerful guerrilla marketing, organic marketing that there is out there.
Okay, and I think on my side, uh, which is why I said this before, which is, you are an OG basically. You know, you are an OG in the space. Because on my side, I've never heard of that, and I have to be true about that. I've and I think now that you are getting into it, and I'm starting now to actually understand it, you know, which I think it's quite interesting, you know.
It's interesting because that is almost, it's like generational wisdom because there are some fundamental principles that stay the same. And nowadays, we have access to all this information on the internet, and many entrepreneurs or startup entrepreneurs just go out there and they find what's on the web, and it will give them the new tips and tricks and hacks and all of this. But there are principles underneath it. And I think you'll know this from your experience, Simanye, as a paid marketing expert who gets results for people through paid online advertising, that there are some principles that apply everywhere. You know, if you can serve people, and what's your big mantra? Value, right?
True.
Give value. If your paid marketing gives people value, they're going to keep coming back. If it just tells them, come buy my stuff, why would they come back? They won't even go further. Give them value. And that is one of those fundamentals. That's the OG stuff. The principles stay the same.
True. That is true. And I think another thing, just to add to what you mentioned, which is, when you sell to people but not give value. they will run away. They will not, they will not, they will not convert, they will not do anything. If they do
Mm,
convert, uh then probably lucky you, I guess, you know. Uh
mm. But will they
but
convert for long?
exactly, you know. So and I think just to add to that, you mentioned something which as my mantra is give value, right? And in everything that you do, uh you need to give value. In everything that you do, you need to give value. In the content that you create, you need to give value. In even basically even people that are in that are artists, in
Mm,
whatever that they do, they need to give value. When the person that is listening or looking at what they are doing, they need to, when they come back from that, they need to have that in their minds, and they need to, how I normally say, they need to do better. When
yeah.
you know, they need to do better as soon as they are done listening or looking at your art. You need to inspire them to do better, and the only way you can do that is if you give value. And not yeah, you need to give value. And I did mention something to you, which was, there's what I call dark marketing, which you know, which is indoctrinating people.
Mm.
It's good, but at the very same time, there's certain things about it which I have my own views about it, and I think I did mention that to you, you know.
Mm, mm.
So value is important, and I wanted to add to what you were saying because I think it's something that is really really important, you know. And just to add, and then just something that I think we need to get into, which is with the organic and also with paid, they both have pros and cons,
Yep.
right? And I think for the listeners to understand or to choose which one they think it would be best for them, they
Mm,
need to know the pros and cons of each of them so that they can be able to make good decisions going forward. Because I'm sure as they're coming here to this podcast and listening to this, they are expecting some sort of value, and they're looking to leave this podcast with things that they can start to implement, you know. So to you, Marie, what are the
mm.
pros and cons of organic marketing?
Beautiful, because one of the things that people might be going is, what, paid marketing? I don't have the budget for that yet. So let's talk about, do you have to pay for organic marketing? Because in some ways it is guerrilla marketing. It can be free, but you always pay with something. There's always a price to pay. So you can do really great organic marketing for free without touching your bank balance. However, you're either going to put in time and energy, or you'll have to pay somebody else to do that. Now, if you're just starting out, if you're willing to invest a little bit of time and a little bit of effort into building your visibility, you can actually do really, really well in organic marketing. But don't think that there's no price to pay, because the time that you put into that is time that you could spend making sales or making a product or delivering your service, right? So really look into, how do you weigh these things up? And it's wise to think of the time in your business as different objectives, especially if you're a solopreneur and you're just starting out, and it's just you for now. Remember, you only have so many hours in a day. And yes, you can stretch those hours, but at some point you're going to not be able to keep up with how much work there is. So try to keep your marketing focus, whether it's paid or organic, to roughly 10%, 10 to 20% of your time. And when you can, make that time that you're getting paid for something else. One of the best ways to build your organic marketing time is to actually go and be visible. So go and speak somewhere, go and be at a networking event. So you might actually be making money at the same time and you're building your visibility. So you get a double bonus. But let's see. So that's one of the bonuses. You might not need to pay. You can do a lot of good organic marketing without investing money, but you will need to invest time and energy. Then another great benefit of organic marketing is when it's out there, it's out there. Your most powerful organic marketing tool is your reputation. What are people saying about you? Or as Jeffrey Bezos is said to have said, personal branding is what people say about you when you're not in the room. That's advertising. Are people saying that, wow, this is somebody you have to work with? They're always supportive. They're always inspiring. They're such an expert. Simanya is so dynamic. He's so on it. He's informed. He's up to the minute. He serves people. He gives value. That is what they say when you're not in the room, right? Or the moment that you're not there, do people say, I've worked with this person, but I don't recommend it. It was very pricey and I felt I didn't get value for money. And they weren't very organized. They weren't very committed to us. They were all over the place. What are people saying about you? Your reputation is the most powerful tool you have, and it spreads far and wide over time. And time is an important factor here. You've mentioned one of the superpowers of paid advertising or paid marketing, and that is that you can do it fast. You can grow fast when you're willing to pay to play. But the advantage of organic marketing is that you haven't paid to play and your presence is out there over a long time. On the internet, there's a phenomenon we call the long tail, and it's about the graph. When your message goes out, it has a high point, but it keeps on finding people over a long time, like a mouse's tail. It goes on really, really long. 10 years, 20 years later, people can still find your book on the internet. They might do a Google search and boom, up pops your name. It's still there. Or offline, I worked with an architect who got a client because years ago she saw his name mentioned in a newspaper article and she cut out the article and she kept it. Years later,
Okay.
she needed an architect and she went to find that newspaper clipping. You never know how your reputation goes through. And with organic marketing, the time that you advertise doesn't mean, when you stop paying to play, it's now gone. An ad is often gone afterwards, whereas with organic marketing, there is that long opportunity. So I'd say those are the main benefits. It's the reach, it's the time, and it's the fact that it can be very cost friendly. And some of your best organic marketing is done just by being you.
Okay. And thank you very much for actually diving into that. And I think you've thoroughly explained it. And if anyone, in fact, didn't understand that still, they can comment down below. Then I think we will just have to answer them. And now that you've mentioned on your side the pros and cons of organic, now the pros and cons of paid media, right? First thing that I have to say before I can say anything, if you cannot, if you do not have the budget, if you cannot afford it, then it's not for you. That I have to say. It's not for you. Because the reason I'm saying that, it's because it is costly, that I have to say, but as it is costly, it is very easy, or it's fast. It's more faster for you to know uh, that what you are doing is the right thing, right? Like just to make an example, right now we have the organic and then we have the paid. And let's say I created a video on how to make on how to build $1 million business or $1 million per month business online, or yeah, online, or using marketing or using paid ads, or when I'm creating that video, I need to know that this video, it actually brings value to the to the people that are listening to it, or the target audience. And now, if yeah, what I have is, I have these two, which is organic and paid. One thing that will happen is that with the organic side, there's a possibility that it might not reach the people that I wanted to reach. It might go to people that do not even have businesses, but people that own dogs. They don't run a business. They do a 9 to 5. So it can go through that algorithm, until it reaches the people that it needs to reach, right? And now on the other side, I have I have paid, right? And with paid, I have targeted my target audience. I've said that I want this to reach a business owner who is making this much amount, who is in this location, who watches this thing, who has this much children, who has this, who has that. You know, I'm going deep into it, so that when I'm getting that video out there, the people that are actually consuming it are people that uh are the right people. It's those
Mm,
business owners. And when they are watching it, that's when I can see that, are they getting the value or not. So
mhm,
it's way more quicker in terms of getting the feedback. It's way more quicker in terms of the reach.
yes.
It's way faster for you to get to your target audience, and it drives results very fast. Because if it's not working, then you need to know that there's a problem with the ad, and you need to change
Hmm.
that. You need to change the video, if it's a video. If it's a picture, you need to change that picture, because there's a problem with it. The moment it doesn't convert, you need to know there's something wrong that is going on here, right? So,
Hmm.
but it's faster for you to reach the people that you need to reach, right? So that I guess is the pros of it, which is it's very faster for you to get to. And also, if you are someone that is running, let's say, who's running their businesses, you let's say you are one man person, and or let's just say you're running your organization. Yeah, let's just say you're running an organization. Let's say you have 15 people in your team. And as you have these 15 people, you do not have people that can handle your content, people that can handle, uh, let's say you have editors, you have, uh, yeah, let's say you have editors, you have videographers, but you do not have someone that is taking care of your page.
Mm,
Now,
mm.
as you do not have someone that is taking care of your page, you need to do it yourself. Now, when you are running an organization, let's say that is making about, let's just make an example. I don't know if I should make it in dollars or rands, but let's just make it in,
Let's go dollars.
let's go dollars, yeah. Let's say you're making $1 million a month company, right? Uh, and as your company is making $1 million in a month, there's that thing of, you need to there's a lot of things that you need to because the more capital you are making as a company, the more responsibilities that come with that. Now you have to handle your team, you have to handle the pages, you have to handle running, there's a lot of things that you have to handle, which means now you will get to a point where you will overexhaust yourself, and you will get to a point where you will burn out. And the moment you burnt out, it'll affect your business. The moment it affects your business, it'll affect your personal life. And the moment it does that, it'll affect everything around, right? So when,
So can you afford paid advertising? Because you
yeah,
cannot afford to lose your health. You cannot afford to lose your family. You cannot afford to lose your sanity.
exactly, exactly. So it's
It's a lot
that,
cheaper than an ad, a lot more expensive than an ad.
you know. So there's also that at hand, which I guess is in the on the pro side. Um, it helps you with that. But now the cons of it, as I did mention, it is expensive. Yeah, I won't say it's cheap. It's not cheap. They are now these platforms now have this sponsored content which you can run, and for some people it helps them because they are cheap, right? But the cheaper they are, the worse the results start to become. So those sponsored thingies, I do not suggest them, but at the very same time, they also are they also you also taking out capital from your pockets. So that is the first thing, which is it's costs, right? And then the second thing that I would say is a bit of a problem with the with paid media, is that you can run an ad, and as you're running an ad, that ad may not perform the way that you expected it to perform, which means that you you did not get an ROI on or a return on investment on what you invested into this. You will not get it back if it doesn't perform. But I guess it's going to be a learning curve, but it's an expensive learning curve. So
Yes.
there's still that I can mention. So on my side, I think those are the things that I would say are the major that you have to look at. And I think if there are some that you have in mind, you can mention them. But on my side, I think those are the ones that I can mention.
I think that's such a worthwhile analysis, and it's really important for people to know whichever one you choose is going to have pros and cons. So I haven't looked so much into the cons of organic marketing, but the pros that you mentioned of paid marketing actually show up where the weaknesses of organic marketing are, because things like that exact targeting. You can target to some extent, but you don't know exactly who's going to read a newspaper, right? You don't know
True.
exactly who's going to be listening to a radio show. Whereas on an ad, you can really fine tune who the people are because it's such a sophisticated mechanism. And you can also test and be really responsive. For example, if I'm a guest on your podcast, I can't guarantee who's going to watch, right? And whether
True.
it will be to my advantage. And once the podcast is out there, I can't really change this episode. Whereas if you're creating an ad based on this episode, maybe extracts from this episode, for example, your ad can be adjusted and you can go and tweak. So there's a high level of experimentation in both, because in organic marketing, with your social media at least, you can watch the analytics and see where you're doing well, do more of
True.
what works, do less of what doesn't, but you still don't have that exact control. So I think these pros and cons are beginning to point us in the direction of what is right for you at what time. By the way, there was another advantage of paid advertising that I saw in action. I found my business mentor through a YouTube ad campaign. And when I found her, I stalked her because that's what I do. And I couldn't find her anywhere online. She had no presence anywhere else because she was only using YouTube ads. She didn't want to build a personal brand publicly because she's very introverted. She didn't want to be recognized on the street, that kind of thing. So she really only wanted to reveal her face and her personality to the people who joined her community. But because of this, I was highly suspicious because she didn't have a digital footprint yet. And yet, many people joined her program and it purely ran through YouTube ads. And it was almost built on not being super slick. was built on being a very open and a very ordinary person because she felt her target audience would believe her if they could see she's an ordinary person, not some kind of business whiz. So it's very interesting who your target audience and ultimate market is, your ideal client, your avatar or your persona, if you want to call them by that name. Know who you're speaking to because that determines everything.
That is true. And I remember you did mention that to me. And I think I did mention that it's something that I also have to test it out. Not for the I think I can test it out for this podcast, but not for the company itself. But for the podcast, it's something that I can definitely test out. Because I think it's another way of because Google is basically, if not, I think it's the number one search engine at this point.
Mhm.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
then YouTube is the second one. But you can say they're both number one because it's part of the same thing, right?
Yep.
So so if now you have those search engines and you creating the content around them, I think that is something that is very powerful. So it's something that I think a
Absolutely.
lot of people have to test out, especially marketers, I guess.
For sure. And again, around that target audience. So YouTube ads are incredibly powerful, especially for certain topics and for certain audiences. So what I'm just saying to people is if you want to start a YouTube channel right now, I was speaking to my friend in the States. I said, start a channel for boomers. The baby boomers love YouTube. They have time on their hands. They're not super savvy like our Gen Zs who are not going to watch ads. They have time on their hands, so they actually watch the ad because that's part of the entertainment. And because the ad is targeted to them, they find it relevant. I see older people starting channels aimed at older people. They're boring. They're just sitting in front of their window. It's not even great quality, but they're talking about things that are relevant to older people. And guess what? They get monetized and they make money every month because people are watching their ads. Compare that to if you're targeting a high net worth individual. Let's say I want to sell a luxury vehicle, right? A
Mhm.
luxury vehicle. Have you noticed, do you ever see car ads for Ferrari on TV?
No.
You don't. You don't. Because it's a different kind of audience that's probably not spending that much time watching TV. People with money pay to make the ads go away. So targeting that kind of ad on YouTube would be a bad idea because people who can afford a Ferrari can afford YouTube Premium. And maybe they're not even watching YouTube, they're calling up a coach for the information they need. Their assistant is handling that query. They're not looking it up themselves. So who are you speaking to? Keep that in mind when you select your avenue and be really creative. You don't want to stand on just one leg. I think that's one of the things that we really learn about this. If you have only paid marketing, you're standing on one leg. But if you have organic marketing online, you're adding another leg. If you have a book, there's another leg. So the more legs you can stand on, you're diversified. It's like your investments. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Put them in the right baskets at the right
True.
time.
True. And I think just to add to something, there's something that I've to add to what you're saying, just to attest to it. And lately, basically, I've been seeing quite a lot of videos, I mean of ads, right, on YouTube. And I think before I didn't see these types of YouTube videos. And now lately, I'm starting to get them to and the reason I'm saying this, I'm going back to what you're saying, which is you did ask, uh, do you actually see a Ferrari ad on TV, and which you do not. And now I think these companies are starting to understand something now, and not with TV, of course, but with social media, which is there's a lot of people that are emerging, uh, uh, people that are starting to become millionaires through online, and
Mhm.
they're starting to understand that the best
But
way
that's
to,
because they're watching your channel.
yeah, that they're starting to understand now that the best way for you to get to the best way for us to get or to get people to purchase our cars, which are people that are new into the space, or people that are creating their businesses online. The best way to get through to them is by creating or by running ads on the platforms that they are using, you know. Because
Mm.
lately I've been seeing you'd find private jets now on your ads, something that you never even see on television.
Wow.
Because
Wow.
on television you never see uh an ad of a private jet. You never see an
Yeah,
ad.
it would be a waste of advertising spend, right? Because how many people
Exactly.
are actually going to be watching TV and go, "Yeah, I've been looking for a private jet. This looks like a good one." I mean, really?
Exactly. And you'd find, if even these cars, you'd find them on YouTube ads. You see now that YouTube ads, they are starting to open up to, or
Hmm.
these big brands are starting to open up to YouTube ads, to social media, because they are running ads there, you know. As I did mention
Hmm.
before, you couldn't find an ad of a private jet, even on radio stations, on magazines, on this, what's it, on newspapers. You wouldn't find a private jet ad, but now you are finding it on on YouTube, you know, and which I think it's. I had to actually mention that because I think it's something that is pretty cool, because they're starting to understand the power of social media.
And that is so fascinating because there's another angle to actually paying for marketing that is not an ad, and that is influencer marketing and even placement marketing. So those are areas where you pay to play because the right people mention you or the right people use your brand, for example. So this is one way that you could choose to spend your money on an appropriate influencer who has your market, have them use your product. A great example is Apple. And if you take a look at movies and a lot of, well, especially films and the series that you see on places like Netflix and, of course, Apple movies nowadays,
Yeah.
or Apple TV, watch and you'll see what devices are people using. A great one is the James Bond movies. There's often a luxury phone brand. There will be luxury watches, clothing brands, but it's very subtle. It's in the background. But do you think they did that for free? Huh. It's another
No,
place to put your ad, but it is very guerrilla, but it will cost, it probably will cost you.
true, true, and I think that is really true. Um, and just to add something there, just let me just. So I think with that, you said something which was really interesting, and but not only that, I think another thing that we need to get into, because we've mentioned quite a lot of things, which I definitely hope that the audience have learned from, which is there's paid ads and then there's organic. But with both, there's always they sometimes can come together, uh which is basically the question that I have for you at this point, which is uh which one do you think is the best one between organic and paid?
It's an evil question to ask, Simanye. And the answer is it's not this or this. It's really when is the time. And I would say this, the time for organic marketing is always, because every minute of every day, you are your own strongest marketing tool. So, who you are and what you do and how you do it in the world out there and in the world online is sharing your message all the time. So, all the time, be aware you are the ultimate ambassador for your personal brand and any other brand that rides on it. But when you want fast results and you have a specific result in mind, that is the time to call someone like Simanye, who can help you to build a strategy to advertise, do your paid marketing within a limited time frame with a strong strategy that drives measurable results within your exact audience. So when you have that specific result for a specific audience in mind and you have the budget, that's the time for paid marketing.
True. And
What do
and
you
and
think, Simanye?
that is true. That is true. And I think to just to add to that, as you've mentioned, that it the you cannot say it is organic, you cannot say it's paid, but both ways they work. They work together. With
Mm.
organic and the way that I normally say it and the way that I'm also trying to accomplish it, even for my clients, even for myself, anyone that asks me this, I will tell them the very same thing, which is you can use both of them. As much as organic takes time and energy, and paid ads, they it's capital that you need to invest. But remember one thing, both of them are an investment which is going to have a huge ROI, you know. So when you have that in mind, you you can then start to implement it in this manner, right? Which is you have organic, you have paid. You create value. Let's say if you're using social media, right? You can create valuable content on your social media. Create valuable content and then you run ads. And the ads you run are going to have value. Now, what's going to
Yes.
happen is the the paid content that you are running will funnel through people through to your organic content. That way they all work together. And now when you funnel people through to your organic, that's when people keep on watching the organic, and that's when now the platform starts to show it to the right people. So
Mm.
both of them, they work together. You need to utilize them together. If you have, if like let's say you do not have the capital, but you have the time, then you can utilize organic. Even with organic, if you have capital but you do not have the time, then you can utilize organic, and you can contact people like Marie. They can help you in terms of the organic side, you know. So with all of these ways, if you've noticed something, there's an investment that you are making. May it be time, may it be capital, but there's an investment. Even with paid ads, you spending time. When you're creating the ads, you have to watch over the ads, you have to monitor them. It's time, right?
Mm.
And on that side, when you hire someone to help you with that, the time and the experience that that person has, you are utilizing it for yourself. Even with organic, when you hire someone that has the experience and someone that has the knowledge, someone that knows this more than you do, they can make better decisions than you can, because you can make a lot of mistakes while you're thinking that they're going to pay off in the long run. But if you're making bad decisions, then it may not even pay up in the long run, which is
Cheap
you
is expensive. Yes.
exactly. So there's no way around it. But you need to understand one thing, which I said, which is you are making an investment in both of these ways. So you need to choose which one are you willing to invest on or with, in terms of, are you willing to invest capital into organics so that you can work with someone that can take you up faster with the experience that they have to where you need to get to? Or do you want to use paid ads and you want to get to where you want to get to a bit faster? But with both of these ways, if you do not have the knowledge, if you do not have the, you're going to make a lot of mistakes, and mistakes are going to
Mhm.
cost you. So both of them, I think it's, you just have to look at them in that manner.
That's a very, very wise and balanced opinion. And it's very interesting that this whole conversation came about because I think you and I saw each other's work and went, well, that's very different from my approach. And over time, as I've been listening to your strategies, and especially the way that you holistically approach paid marketing, rather than just making it this quick, slam dunk experience, a kind of a hit and run, rather building it into a broader strategy and then balancing it with the organic side. I've really developed respect for the way that you are approaching this because, Simanya, not every paid marketing expert out there is really handling that kind of business honorably because it's so easy to do a hit and run. It's a very easy fly by night area. And that undermines the faith that people have in paid marketing. But I think the way that you are approaching it has really earned my respect over time. So I want to really salute you for that because you show people how to get the most out of paid marketing within a broader context of a strong digital footprint. And that is really what the digital marketing show is all about. Make it work.
Thank you very much. And I think there's something that you're not mentioning, which I think you should, which is that most of the strategies, uh, when I need someone to actually assist me with them, uh, I always go to you, and you do not mention that, because if I have a something that I have which I need to ask someone about, you are the first person that I actually go to. You are the first person that comes to my mind immediately when there's anything that I need to ask. Marie is always the first. So, if anything, I have to thank you for the knowledge that you've shared with me, you know. And I'm just glad that at least that knowledge that you're sharing with me, I'm not exactly wasting it, but I'm using it for the right reasons and in the right way and helping other people in return. So for that, I have to say thank you very much.
And I really appreciate that, Simanya, because I think we get a really good, we get much more perspective when we speak to somebody and bounce ideas of somebody who sees things differently. Because just as you get ideas, I then listen to what you're saying and I go, oh, that is something I could do. So you've converted me because I've always been very skeptical about paid marketing. And now for the first time, I'm looking at a much stronger approach of how can I actually leverage paid marketing as part of my complete strategy. So very excited to see that in action. I'm going to be picking your brains on this one.
Thank you very much. And also, Marie. Marie has a program which she helps, uh she helps business owners, or even just someone that wants to get into the personal branding space. And I strongly believe that if you've had a lot of value from this video, there's a lot of value that you'll still get from her programs that she actually helps business owners from. So Marie, I will be leaving the links down below. And also a question that I normally ask people, which is, where can people actually find you?
And the very best place to find me is on, well, if you're watching this on YouTube, then go straight to YaziMedia. So on youtube.com/at YaziMedia, that is where you'll find my channel with lots of ideas about personal branding, how to refresh your LinkedIn profile, some YouTube building strategies, and other gold nuggets if you want to develop your personal brand as a thought leader. And then, of course, there's LinkedIn. And if you're not sure where to go, look for the Media Strategist to Visionaries on Google, and it will point you my way. I'm Marie Le Roux, and I am the founder of YaziMedia Virtual Media House, where we help experts, entrepreneurs, and enthusiasts to share their visionary message.
Thank you very much, Marie. So, guys, we will be leaving the links down below of everything that you need to find Marie and of whatever that Marie could possibly assist you with. You will not know about it unless you head over straight to those links that we've left there down below. So make sure that you do that. And Marie, thank you very much for the interview.